Hello everyone and welcome to Midlife Crisis, the show where I talk about every major DC crossover event in chronological order. This week we are finally talking about Flashpoint. Over the last 6 weeks, I want to say, I have been covering every major tie-in to Flashpoint in a series that I called World of Flashpoint. Last week we finished off those tie-ins, and now, this week, we're finally talking about the main series written by Jeff Johns with art by Andy Kubert and Sandra Hope. Originally, Flashpoint was supposed to just be a Flash event that would wrap up at the end and everything was supposed to go back to normal, but Dan DiDio decided that Flashpoint would be the perfect opportunity to relaunch DC and reboot it. He'd been planning to do it for a while, and this was finally his opportunity to get it done. So instead of going back to normal, instead at the very end of Flashpoint, everything gets rebooted into what is now known as the New 52. But we'll get there eventually. For now, let's just jump straight into Flashpoint with issue 1. The story begins with somebody narrating over moments in Barry's life, Barry and his mother, the time he became the Flash family, the Justice League, and this person narrating says that Barry came to him for help and he turned him away because he's not the hero of this story. He's somebody that has a lot of blood on his hands. And that is when we cut to Barry Allen waking up. He's been woken up by his friend Forrest, his work friend at the CCPD, and that is when Detective Singh comes in talking about some character named Miss Alchemy, and Barry's like, who are you talking about? He said, Miss Alchemy was murdered, and we believe that the murderer is Citizen Cold. And Barry's like, Citizen Cold? Don't you mean Captain Cold of the Rogues? And Singer's like, no, who are the Rogues? Anyway, Pied Piper right now is fighting Cold because Cold is trying to kill somebody who knows that Cold killed Miss Alchemy. But Barry doesn't have time to listen to this. He leaves, and he tries to put on his Flash costume, but he realizes he doesn't have his Flash ring. And he trips and falls down the stairs. And that is when somebody says his name, and he looks up to see his mother, Nora. She is alive, which is not supposed to be the case. This isn't normal, and Barry remembers her being dead and is shocked to see her alive. So he's so happy to reunite with his mother. And this is when he starts to realize that something is going on. He tries to tell his mother that he's the Flash, but she's never heard of the Flash before. She's never even heard of the Justice League or Superman. But when he brings up Batman, she has heard of Batman. Everybody's heard of Batman. And that is when we cut to Gotham City, where we see Batman chasing after a criminal known as Yo-Yo, who is a lot like Harley Quinn, and he wants to find out where the Joker is, because the Joker has kidnapped the twin son and daughter of the Dents, and Yo-Yo refuses to tell him, and he's like, well, if you're gonna hold your tongue, I might as well cut it out. This Batman is a lot more ruthless than the Batman that we're used to, and because she won't say anything, he decides to just chuck her off the building. Before she goes splat on the ground, she is luckily saved by Cyborg, who is there to meet with Batman. He wasn't there to save Yo-Yo, he just happened to be able to save her at the same time. He wants to recruit Batman to help him, and he has a whole bunch of other characters that he's already trying to recruit as well. We have the Shazam kids, that is what they are known as. They can transform into Captain Thunder, because instead of it just being Billy Batson, it's all the kids combining together. We've also got Abin Sur, who is the Green Lantern of Earth, Pied Piper, Citizen Cold, some guy called the Outsider, Element Woman, the Enchantress. This is essentially just a promotion for all of the tie-ins that we're going to release at the same time of this book. You learn a little bit about every single one of these characters, but it's just kind of like, oh, if you want to know more, go check out the tie-ins. And if you do want to learn more about these characters, then check out the World of Flashpoint videos that I did, because I go deep into every single character from this timeline. Meanwhile, Barry decides to go and meet with Iris, who he thinks he's still married to, because he goes into this office and is like, hey, is Iris Allen here? And they're like, who's Iris Allen? We know Iris West. And he sees Iris, and it's revealed that she's with some guy named John. I don't even think he's an established character. I think he's just some random dude. Barry sees this, and he is horrified, and he leaves, and Iris is like, hey, did you hear something? It felt like we were being watched. At the same time, Nora hears a mysterious voice talk to her. It's like, how nice to see you, alive and well, Mrs. Allen. And we see a yellow and red blink, you miss it, flash go past her, and Barry sees her and is like, hey, do I own a car? And she's like, no. Or do you have a car? I need to go visit somebody. Cyborg continues to try and convince Batman and the others to join him because Aquaman and Wonder Woman are attacking Europe at the moment and sinking it into the ocean. And arguments start to break out between the different characters where Piper doesn't want to work with Citizen Cold, and this guy named Black Bolt doesn't want to work with the Outsider. Blackout. And almost everyone agrees except for Batman. He decides that he's not going to help them because he's too busy doing his own thing. And because Batman says no, everybody else also changes their mind and is like, nah, we're not going to join you. Sorry, it's a bad idea. And they all just leave. And Cyborg's like, well shit, screw you, Batman. I had everyone and you ruined it. Barry makes his way to Gotham City. He arrives at Wayne Manor, and as he enters it, he tries to call out for Alfred, and hears nothing. The whole place is just a mess, and he finds the Batcave. It is in the exact same place it was before. He heads down there. He sees a gun on display. He sees a picture of the Waynes, and that's when the narrator is revealed to be Batman. It's like, the first time I met Barry Allen, I nearly killed him. Who are you? Who the hell are you? And Barry's like, Bruce, wait! Bruce, that's not me, that's my son, I watched him die. Bruce is dead. This is my God. And that's when Barry realizes that this Batman is Thomas Wayne, the father of Bruce. It's kind of hard to read this series with a fresh mind and not see any of these plot twists coming, just because this is one of those things that everybody knows, is that there is a Thomas Wayne Batman. Or at least anyone that is somewhat interested in comic books. We cut to Deathstroke, who in this timeline is a pirate, and his crew is made up of other criminals, and this is where we see some differences between the Flashpoint series and some of its tie-ins, contradicting each other. He's currently using this character named Sonar to find treasure in the ocean. In this series, he tortures Sonar. In the main Deathstroke series, like in the miniseries, he doesn't torture Sonar. Sonar willingly helps him and uses his powers. They see the ship of his greatest rival, the Warlord, and the ship has been destroyed, and they say that it's been destroyed by Aquaman's forces because they are now in Paris. But in the miniseries, Warlord wasn't destroyed by Aquaman. Deathstroke saw it happen. He was destroyed by a character known as Jenny Blitz, who doesn't exist in this series at all. This is when Deathstroke's ship is boarded by Aquaman and Orm, and Aquaman tells Orm to leave no survivors as they proceed to attack Deathstroke and his crew. Meanwhile, Barry basically gets tortured by Thomas. He breaks his hand, and it's because he's talking nonsense to Thomas. Thomas is like, what the hell are you going on about with Bruce, my dead son? And Barry's like, no, I'm the Flash. Like, I have speed powers. And Thomas punches him in the face and is like, you weren't fast enough to dodge that. Barry's like, I need your help. And Thomas is like, you came to the wrong place. And throws him into a table. I must be on a different Earth, or trapped in one of Mirror Master's mirror worlds. And Thomas is like, get up. And that is when Barry is attacked by a whole load of new memories. His memories are now catching up to this timeline, and that's how he realizes that he must be in the timeline. This is the main timeline right now. Everything's different. And that's when a ring falls out of his jacket. He's like, oh, it's my Flash ring. See, I'll show you I'm the Flash by showing you my costume. He makes the costume come out of the ring, but it's not his costume. It's the costume of Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. And this is Eobard's way of mocking Barry, kind of telling him that he's behind all this. So Barry explains everything to Thomas. He's like, Eobard Thawne is this evil guy that's obsessed with me. He's called the Reverse Flash. He has the ability to change time itself. I think that's exactly what he's done. And Thomas says, oh, you mentioned Bruce earlier when you thought I was Bruce. What's he like in your timeline? And Barry explains that Bruce is Batman and he's alive. And Thomas is very happy about this. And Barry is like, if you help me get my powers back, I will be able to turn back time and undo all of this and make everything right again. And Thomas just wants his son to be alive, so of course he's going to help Barry do that. Meanwhile, in London, Steve Trevor is a member of Lois Lane's resistance. He's being attacked by the Amazons, and that is when he is grabbed by the lasso of truth, and he meets Wonder Woman for the first time, and she interrogates him with the lasso, trying to get him to tell her the whereabouts of Lois Lane. He tells her everything, the entire truth. At first he resists it for a bit, but he isn't able to resist it for too long. Tells her everything that she needs to know, and so she tells some of her Amazons to go and find Lois Lane, and the rest are like, what are we gonna do with Steve Trevor? And we, the audience, don't get to find out, but I assume that they are going to torture and kill him. Because the Themyscirans are pretty ruthless in this timeline. Barry Allen sets up a chair with chemicals and a rod connected to it because he wants to get struck by lightning, because that's how he got his powers before, struck by lightning, covered in chemicals, all that jazz. He tells Thomas to pull down the switch, and Barry sits there waiting for the lightning to come. He's like, come on, I'm here, I'm right. And then he gets struck by lightning, the chemicals burst all over him, he starts screaming in pain. He catches on fire, which is not supposed to happen, so Thomas has to quickly put the fire out, and we are left with Barry unconscious, covered in horrific third-degree chemical burns. Cyborg has a conversation with Barack Obama because this book released in 2011. The Resistance has fallen down, Steve Trevor is dead, so they believe that there must be a traitor amongst them, and Obama's not happy with Cyborg. He's like, this has all gone too far, I can't trust you anymore, so I'm relieving you of duty. I have no choice. I'm sorry. And at this time, Element Woman is listening in on the conversation. Meanwhile, Thomas is looking after Barry, trying to treat his third-degree burns, and Barry is like, I need to get out there, I need to be struck by lightning again, and Thomas is like, you idiot! Like, if you do that again, you're going to die. And Barry's like, but if I don't, I will forget everything. My memories are continuing to be replaced with new ones. Eventually, I'm going to forget myself. I'm going to forget your son. So please, Dr. Wayne. So Thomas brings Barry back out to this destroyed chair, and Barry sits in it again. And Thomas is like, you really are crazy. Like a fox. Now get me back in. And all of a sudden, lightning strikes, sending Thomas flying, and he falls off the building towards a fence with spikes on it, and Barry is recharged with the Speed Force. It worked. The second lightning strike has given him his speed powers back, so he is able to quickly catch Thomas, saving his life. It's like, I told you. Meanwhile, in New Themyscira, Lois Lane is looking for the rest of Resistance, and she comes face to face with them yet again. Just another moment in the book that's just like, hey, if you want to learn more about the Resistance, go check out that miniseries consisting of these characters like Etrigan and the Canterbury Cricket. Barry is starting to heal from his speed powers, and Thomas suggests that he put on the Reverse Flash costume, because there aren't really any other costumes for him to put on, and Barry's like, there's no way I'm putting that thing on. It's easier for me to just go around your Batcave, find all the materials I need, and make my own costume. And so that's what he does. He just makes a brand new costume in a matter of seconds, and then he starts investigating this new timeline. He explains to Thomas Wayne that Eobard Thawne is powered by the negative Speed Force, and that allows him to change time without many consequences. It's actually revealed at this point that the lives of the Justice League in the Flashpoint timeline were caused by Reverse Flash as well. Eobard Thawne knew that immediately Barry would try to contact his Justice League friends, so Thawne kind of got rid of them any way he could. So Hal Jordan never became a Green Lantern, and Superman was never found by the Kents. Instead, the rocket landed in Metropolis and was taken away. And so now Barry needs to find out where this ship was taken, and Batman's like, I know exactly who to go to. So they go and visit Cyborg. Barry wants Cyborg's help with finding who he believes is Superman, and Cyborg isn't really interested in helping them because it would mean hacking into the government systems, but he's also going through a bit of a rogue streak, so he decides, you know what, I'm actually going to help you. I'm not just going to help you hack into the systems and find Superman, I'm going to join you. We're going to go underground to this place called Project Superman that is apparently under Metropolis, and we will find him together. So they broke through the underground area, through all of its systems. They find these different experiments. Subject 2, which was a canine, it's supposed to be Crypto, was unfortunately killed. Clark is known as Subject 1, and he is being kept in this giant safe with the symbol of hope on it. And Thomas takes out the guards, and Cyborg hacks into it, and they see Subject 1 for the first time, and he does not look like how you would imagine Superman at all. He is incredibly skinny because he's never seen the sun, and he's very rarely ever talked to a human as well. I actually like to call this version of Superman Super Twink. Cyborg frees Super Twink, and that's when the guards all come in, and so Cyborg fights them as well, and Barry is 100% sure that Superman is going to be a good person because he is always good no matter who raises him. He's like, we're going to get you out of here, okay? And Super Twink's like, okay. They make their way through the sewers, they break out, and Super Twink sees the sun for the first time, and he's like, it's beautiful. And then he starts flying, and the guards come out, and Super Twink uses his heat vision to burn one of their guns, and then Thomas tells him to kill all the guards, and Super Twink freaks out and flies off. And Thomas is like, there goes your big savior. And it's like, dude, you tried to order him to kill these guys. Like, he doesn't owe you anything. He doesn't know you. You freaked him out. And now the guards have all their guns pointed at Barry, Cyborg, and Thomas, and are ready to blow them to smithereens. So how are they going to get out of this situation? Obama sends out a message to the world saying that we as humans are going to have to come together and deal with the Atlanteans and the Amazonians because they can't trust the superheroes because they've let them down too many times. And the Shazam kids are talking about whether or not they should help. They're not really sure. And so we cut to Hal Jordan, who is just a regular dude, and he is planning on using a nuclear bomb known as the Green Arrow to attack the Atlanteans and Themyscirans, and he says goodbye to Hector Hammond. He's like, I'm doing this because I have a duty to do so, and because those so-called superheroes are too busy hiding to do anything. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Batman, Flash, and Cyborg fight against the guards, and that is when the guards are attacked by smoke, and a tidal wave, and giant blocks of rock, and they're just like, what the hell is going on? And it turns out the one responsible for this is Element Woman. She shows up because after what she heard between Obama and Cyborg, she decided that she needed to become a part of their team and help them, and she's a little nuts. You know, she's a very weird character. We don't even really go into her backstory at all in this. She would later show up in the New 52 during Jeff Johns' Justice League series, and in that series, we still wouldn't learn anything about her backstory. She's as much of a nothing character as you can possibly get. Barry continues to lose more of his memories, so they need to find a way to stop him from losing those memories. And we cut to the Shazam kids, who are again talking about whether or not they should help, and Billy is like, if we don't help, then the Atlanteans and the Amazons are going to destroy everything. There's not going to be anything left. Not even pizza night. That's when Flash and the gang break into the room. The reason why Thomas has brought them here is because he heard that the Shazam kids helped Sandman with some of his own mind issues, and believes that maybe they can fix whatever's going on with the Flash. So Billy decides to use his powers on Barry's brain, and when he does so, he sees the regular version of Shazam. It's like, oh, who is he? I saw a different world, a world full of hope. This is when reports come in of a massacre over the United Kingdom, and one of the casualties is Hal Jordan. He died in battle, unfortunately, and this hits Barry really hard because Hal is his best friend in the main timeline. And so Barry just runs straight into the kitchen, and Thomas goes after him, and he's like, Barry, what are you doing? He's like, people are dying. Innocent people are dying, and we're sitting here not doing anything. I know for sure that Eobard Thawne was responsible for what is going on. He did something. He changed something. But in order to change everything back to normal, I'm gonna have to figure out what he changed. And that's like looking for a grain of sand. So Barry's like, we have to save this world. And Thomas is like, no. Either we change this world, Flash, or we let it burn in hell. Cyborg comes in and he's like, why are you so serious? We have some frightened kids here. And Barry explains to Cyborg what's happening and that they're going to need to fight in this war and save as many people as they can and not worry about changing the timeline right now because Barry's not even sure if he can change it. He manages to convince the Shazam kids to help him, and Thomas refuses to help them, but then last minute he changes his mind to add a little bit to the drama. He's like, tell the others to meet us there because we're going in my Batplane. So they fly off in the Batplane. We see that they've recruited characters like Enchantress and the Outsider, and apparently the Secret Seven are not joining them. In the miniseries, it's revealed that they all died because of the Enchantress. She's actually evil. She's working for the Themyscirans, but these guys don't know that yet. We then see Aquaman and Wonder Woman fighting each other, where we get to learn a little bit about them. Wonder Woman killed Aquaman's wife, Mera. They also apparently loved each other for a little bit. Again, this is all stuff that you learn more about in the miniseries, and that is when Flash and the gang all show up. The Shazam kids have become Captain Thunder, and so they start fighting the Themyscirans and the Atlanteans. Captain Thunder fights Wonder Woman. This isn't the first time they fought. He tried to convince her to be a good person recently, and she almost killed him, so he's a little bit traumatized from that. And now he's done talking, and Enchantress is like, oh, I think you're done playing grown-up too, kids, and she turns against her allies by splitting Captain Thunder apart, and then one of the Themyscirans walks over to Billy Batson and kills him, which is just horrific. Kills this kid, and all this lightning just disperses everywhere, and Barry starts crawling up from the ground. He's just like, ugh, no, just a boy, just... Oh, Barry, look what you did. And that's right, Eobard Thawne has shown up and is taunting Barry by showing him all of these bodies that he says Barry is responsible for. Still convinced that Thawne was responsible for all of this, he tries to get the information out of Thawne. He's like, what the hell did you do to this world? And that is when Thawne reveals to Barry that he did not mess up the timeline. Barry did, and he shows everything to him. He gives him a quick memory recall using his powers, and Barry sees himself going back in time, stopping Thawne from killing his mother. He's like, do you remember? And Barry's like, yes! And they both get sent flying. Damn you, Thawne! Damn you! I remember! Excellent. And it's time to finish this. Thomas then arrives and is like, oh, he did this? Well, we better stop him right now. And Thawne just kicks the shit out of him. He just beats the absolute crap out of Thomas, out of commission. And this is when Thawne reveals to Barry that Barry can't beat him anymore. Because it used to be that Thawne was never able to kill Barry because the two of them are intrinsically connected. Because without Barry, Thawne wouldn't exist. However, when Barry took care of Thawne and stopped him from killing his mother, they were in the time stream. And because Thawne was in the time stream, when Barry changed the timeline and the Flash no longer existed, Thawne was safe. Because now he is out of time itself. So, He doesn't need Barry anymore. Barry doesn't have to exist for him to exist. So he can kill Barry in the womb, he can kill him right now. He can finally do exactly what he wants. And Barry can't do anything about it. The legendary Flash cannot hurt Eobard Thawne. And then he gets stabbed through the chest. Because Thomas Wayne has come up behind him and stabbed him with a sword. It's like, what about me? Doctor's advice, when you're in the middle of a war, don't stand still. And Thawne falls to the ground dead. This is Thawne's official death. He is done. But the war's not over. People are still fighting. People are still killing each other. The Resistance arrives in order to fight alongside Barry and Batman. And then Enchantress just kills most of them. It's kind of weird. The Resistance show up. They're like, hey, we're here to save you. Ah! And they all die. And Thomas gets blasted by Enchantress as well, and he starts dying. He's critically injured, and she's just going crazy. She's like, I'm having so much fun killing things. And then they hear a noise, and Barry's like, I knew it. And that is when Superman just slams into Enchantress, and she just explodes. He just crushes her. It's insane. Just like, boom! No more. And then he rushes in and crashes through Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and Barry continues to get attacked by these memories, and he's like, oh, I gotta undo everything, I gotta change the past, and the only way to do that is to stop myself from saving my mum. But before he leaves, Thomas gives him a final few words of solace and gives him a note. And then he passes away, and Barry sprints for his life. He ends up where his mother is, and she's like, why are you wearing that costume? And this is when Barry explains to his mother that he is the Flash, that he changed the timeline, and that she's supposed to be dead. And with the help of his mother, he finally decides to do the right thing, which is to change the timeline. You were drawn back to me when you started to break the time barrier, like a lightning rod. If you focus on yourself, wouldn't you be drawn to the right time? And if I stop myself, I save them, but I don't save you. There has to be another way. How many people died because of this? How many, Barry? Millions. But I won't let you die. I won't let this life be erased. It won't be. Mum? It happened, Barry. One way or another, the life we had together happened. And I couldn't have been prouder or happier to have a son like you. You have to let me go, Barry. I don't want to. Neither do I. But I'll be with your father. I'll be okay. So Barry catches up with his younger self and he's like, I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I have to save everybody. Chucks himself off of the cosmic treadmill, breaking the Flashpoint timeline. And then we see Barry Allen traveling through what seems to be the multiverse, where this weird woman appears behind him and is like, hey Flash, there are 3 timelines, but there's supposed to be one. And that is what you are going to do. You are going to join these 3 timelines together and create the true timeline. And he's just like, whoa, this is really weird. And then Barry wakes up in the CCPD with his friend Forrest. And he's like, oh wow, that was weird. I guess I'm okay though. And then we find out that Barry is the Flash, and he goes to visit Batman, who turns out to be Bruce Wayne. And he catches Bruce up on this other timeline that he was in, where Cyborg worked for the president, and Thomas Wayne was Batman, and that he had to do the right thing and undo everything to restore the timeline. But he still remembers every single thing he did with his mother in that alternate timeline. He has all those memories, and he's like, maybe there was a problem resetting everything. I shouldn't be able to remember all this stuff. And Bruce is like, or maybe it's just a gift to make it all a little easier. And then Barry's like, oh, there's one other thing I didn't tell you yet. There was someone I met there. Someone I couldn't have saved the world without. He gave me this. And he hands Bruce a note. And Bruce reads the note, and it's clearly a note from his father, Thomas. And he just has a real moment and kind of breaks down a little bit. He starts crying. And the note says, love always from your father, Thomas. And he turns to Barry and he's like, you're one hell of a messenger. Thank you, Barry. You're welcome, Bruce. The end. And that is the end of the story and the end of an era. The timeline has been rebooted. Unfortunately, I am still in the year 2011. Because remember, I time traveled back here stupidly, and now I'm stuck here. And because of the rebooted timeline, much like Barry Allen, I am starting to lose my memories. And soon I won't remember anything from pre-Flashpoint, so hopefully maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to fix things, but for now, I'm not sure. If you decide that you want to check out the Flashpoint series yourself, I highly recommend checking it out alongside the tie-ins, because they do add a lot of substance to it. Without them, the series is pretty mediocre, very surface level, one-dimensional. Overall, I think I enjoyed it because I read a lot of the tie-ins. And if you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like and subscribe. There isn't going to be a video next week. I'm giving myself an extra week to work on the next video because it's going to be a big one. It's also going to be a surprise. So look forward to that. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you then. Have a good one.